I woke to the sun spilling across the floor, the kind of morning that's supposed to feel like promise. Today was my wedding day. I could almost taste the champagne, hear the laughter. But as I stepped into the hall, my chest tightened, like someone had slammed a door on it. Why? Why are you all staring at me like that? I asked, my voice shaking. Lily was the first. Her smile wasn't warm, it was sharp. Too sharp. Oh, don't pretend you didn't know this day wouldn't go the way you imagined, she said, her eyes glinting. We've been honest with ourselves long before today, haven't we? What? What are you talking about? I demanded, heart hammering. Sophia's lips curled, faint, calculating. You really thought we were? Happy? Together? That naive, trusting heart of yours. Stop, I said, but my words were weak. I trusted you all. I, Maya, stepped forward, calm and cold. Trusted? That's rich. You only trusted because it benefited you. Admit it, we all knew that. Swallowed hard. Benefited me? No. I loved you. I loved all of you. You my fiancés. My Elena's voice trembled, almost apologetic, but it cut me like a knife. Loved? You think love was ever real here? You were blind. Blind to everything. No, I said. This isn't real. You're lying. Lily laughed, a sound that should have been soft, melodic. But it ripped through me like glass. Oh, I'm not lying. I've never lied. You just refused to see the truth. I made my choices, and so did the rest of us. Don't act so shocked. My knees threatened to buckle. Choices. Betrayal. You all. How could you? Sophia leaned closer, voice low, venomous. Maybe you should ask yourself that. How could you not see it? We played the perfect part. You were so busy imagining the future that you missed the present. And what it really was. Maya crossed her arms. I was patient. I wanted to see if you'd figure it out yourself. You didn't. That's why we had to do it ourselves.
Outdo it ourselves.
I echoed, my hands clenched into fists. Do what? Ruin me? Elena's eyes filled with tears, yet her voice had a strange, icy certainty. We weren't ruining you. We were freeing ourselves. Freeing me. I felt like I was drowning in their words. My mind screamed for sense, for reason, for even the smallest shred of the man I thought I knew. All four of you? Together? Lily tilted her head, watching me collapse in disbelief. We've been honest among ourselves. But you were too blinded by love. Or maybe arrogance. Or both. Either way, this was inevitable. I staggered back, barely catching myself on the nearest chair. I know, this can't be happening. Not today. Not like this. You wanted the perfect wedding, didn't you? Sophia said softly, almost mocking. Well, you got it. Only. The truth hurts more than lies. Maya stepped closer, her expression unreadable, but the weight behind her words was undeniable. You think we hate you? Hate is too simple. We just chose ourselves over you. Felt my chest tighten, tears burning the back of my eyes. All this time, everything I did, nothing mattered? Elena looked at me, almost pitying. You were too trusting. That's your flaw, but maybe one day you'll understand. Lily's smile widened cruelly. Understand? You'll understand when you're alone with your thoughts. Alone with the consequences of trusting people like us. Lily, my voice broke. I loved you. I trusted you. All of you. How could you? Her laugh echoed in the hall, a sound I would never forget. Love. That word only meant what you allowed it to mean. You gave us power over you, and we took it. That's the truth you never saw coming. I stumbled toward the door, my mind a whirlwind of disbelief, rage, heartbreak, and numbness. Every step felt heavier than the last. My family didn't move. My friends didn't come to help. No one called after me. I reached the street, the cool air stinging my face. I breathed in, tasting the freedom and the ruin all at once. This was it. My life had split in two before them, and after. I whispered to myself, shaking, I won't let this define me. Not now. Not ever. I'll fix this. Somehow I'll fix this. For the first time, I felt the weight of being completely alone, but also the spark of something dangerous, something powerful. A decision was forming, sharp and cold. They thought they had one, but they hadn't seen the real me yet. And as I walked away, the sun high in the sky felt like a lie. Today was the day everything fell apart. And tomorrow, maybe everything would begin again. CHP to I slammed the door behind me, the sound echoing like a warning. My apartment was too quiet, too empty. I sank onto the couch, rubbing my face, replaying everything, the laughter, the smiles, the lies. Every word from them twisted in my mind. Lily, I muttered aloud, I need to know. Now why? Her voice came from the call I had placed earlier, calm and cold. Why? You really want to know? Yes, I trusted you. I shouted into the phone, I trusted all of you. And you, she interrupted me smoothly, trusted me? You were blind. I never promised loyalty to you, only appearances, appearances? I whispered, anger and disbelief mixing. All those nights, the dinners, the smiles, it was fake. She laughed softly. Not fake, selective. I gave you what you wanted to see. You didn't look deeper, did you? I clenched my fists. Deeper. I thought I knew you. I thought I understood you. You understood what you wanted to understand. That's the difference, she said. I don't regret it. I made choices. I owned them. The line went quiet for a moment. Then she added, but you have to wake up. That's your job now. I dropped the phone, shaking. Everything I believed in, every memory, felt like ash. A knock on my door startled me. Lily's mother. I hadn't expected her. I heard, she said, her voice calm but heavy. Everything. I turned to her. Did you know? Did you help her do this? She hesitated. I guided her, yes, but you. You never understood her. You never tried. Guided her? I snapped. So, this betrayal, it wasn't hers alone? No, she has her own mind. But some influence, I admit, she said. Her tone wasn't apologetic. It was matter of fact. It's how the world works. People take what they can. I couldn't breathe. So, all those times, I thought she cared. Cared? Maybe Lily's mother said softly. But care isn't enough to stop ambition. Or fear, or pride. Remember that. I sank back into the couch, my mind flashing to Sophia. That sly smile, the way she lingered on certain words, the pauses I had dismissed. She wasn't innocent either. And there was Mark, her shadow, her confidant, always lurking, always watching. I dialed Mark's number, though I knew it was risky. Mark, we need to talk, I said when he answered. I was wondering when you'd call, he said, his voice smooth, detached. I didn't expect it to be this soon. Don't play games with me, I snapped. What are you doing with her? What's your role in this? Role, he chuckled. I'm helping her navigate the chaos. You could say I'm a guide. A guide? I shouted. You're part of this. You're complicit. I choose my loyalties carefully, he said evenly. You, my friend, are. On your own path now, observe carefully. Learn before you act. I slammed the phone down. My apartment felt smaller, tighter, suffocating. Every thought was a knife twisting deeper. Every memory became a reminder of how blind I had been. I remembered the dinners Lily insisted on. The small notes from Sophia, Maya's cold stares that I interpreted as playful teasing. Elena's subtle jealousy I ignored. Every detail, every sign I dismissed. It was all a setup. I leaned back, closed my eyes, and whispered to myself, shaking, I will not let this break me. Not completely. They think they won, but they've only lit a fire. A fire I will control. As the phone buzzed again, another message from Lily. You can't undo what's done. I stared at it. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I could reply with anger, with begging, with rage, or I could wait, plan, observe. I typed nothing. Instead, I stood up, pacing the apartment. No more victim, I muttered. I will watch. I will wait. And I will decide when the reckoning comes. The betrayal weighed on me, crushing, suffocating, relentless. But beneath it, a spark began to grow, a cold, sharp determination. They thought they had taken everything from me. They hadn't. Not yet. I stared out the window at the city lights, breathing steadily. Tomorrow, I whispered. Tomorrow, I begin again. Not as the man they knew. Not as the one who trusted too easily. But as someone they will have to respect or fear. For the first time since that morning, I felt something like clarity. Rage, grief, and disbelief still twisted inside me, but now they fueled a plan. And I promised myself silently but fiercely that I would never be their victim again. I closed the door behind me for the last time. The life I had built, the friends, the family, the empire, they'd all failed me when it mattered. I shouldn't have been surprised, but the sting was sharp. I can't rely on anyone, I muttered, pacing the empty apartment. Not Lily, not Sophia, not Maya, not Alina, not even my own blood. The gym felt like the only place I could think clearly. I lifted, ran, pushed myself until the pain was the only thing in my head. Focus, I whispered, counting each repetition. They broke me, but they won't finish the job. After training, I started digging. Names, schedules, events, small cracks, little patterns, every overlooked detail. I watched Sophia meet someone at a cafe, whispered too long into the phone. I followed subtle hints of Maya's routines, noted Elena's predictable visits to her favorite shops. Lily. I still didn't know how to reach her. But the first step was preparation. Observation is patience, a voice said behind me. I spun around. A tall man, gray-haired eyes sharp beneath his hood. "Who, Mr. Gray?" he said, offering a thin smile. "I know what happened to you. I also know what you need now." "I don't need advice," I said sharply, though curiosity pricked at me. "I need results." He chuckled softly. "Advice is results if you listen. You're blinded by emotion. Anger, grief, they're powerful, but only if controlled." I frowned. "And you? Why help me?" "I've walked this path," he said. "Betrayal, loss, being cornered. I survived. You will too, but not by brute force alone. Strategy, observation, timing, and you'll teach me." I asked, suspicious. "I'll guide," he said. "But you must act on what you learn. Discipline, patience, subtlety." I nodded, swallowing my pride. "Fine, teach me. Show me how not to be a fool again." He handed me a small notebook. "Record everything. Small gestures, lies, patterns. Your enemies are predictable if you know how to watch. Your allies. Well, choose wisely. Not everyone who seems loyal is discurtant." Later, I observed Nina, Maya's assistant. She moved quickly, efficiently, but something in her eyes flickered hesitation. I approached carefully. "You're Nina?" I said softly. "Not too close?" She stiffened. "Who wants to know?" "I do. I see your work, your loyalty. But are you sure it's yours alone?" Her gaze faltered. Just for a second. I don't I said, lowering my voice. "No need to answer yet. Just notice who you serve and why. People like you. They make or break plans quietly. I just need to know which side you're on." She nodded slightly, uneasy, and walked away. I made a mental note. Subtle cracks, hesitation, moments that might turn into opportunities. Mr. Gray observed silently. "You're learning fast," he said. "But don't let eagerness become recklessness. Patience is a weapon." "I've had enough of waiting," I admitted, feeling the heat of my own frustration. They think they've won. They think I'm weak. You were weak, he said bluntly. Before, but that's changing. That fire you feel now? Focus it. Sharpen it. Let it make you smarter, not just angrier. I nodded again. Every betrayal, every lie, it fuels me. I see them now, not as lovers, but as pieces in a game. And I'll play better than they ever imagined. Good, he said, his voice calm, almost detached. Now, go further. Learn their habits, their fears, their alliances, and never let them know you're watching until it's time. Alone that night, I reviewed my notes, tracing patterns, noticing inconsistencies, Lily's subtle manipulations, Sophia's reliance on Mark, Maya's overconfidence, Elena's envy disguised as innocence. Every betrayal, every oversight, was fuel for what I would become. I whispered to myself, steadying my resolve. I'm not the same man who trusted blindly. I'm smarter, sharper, ready. They'll see the change soon enough, and when they do, they'll wish they never crossed me. I looked in the mirror. The face staring back was bruised but determined. Pain sharpened, heartbreak hardened, betrayal transformed. I clenched my fists. Tomorrow, the real work begins. Training is done, observation continues, and every move will be mine to control. No one will use me again, not them, not anyone. Mr. Gray's words echoed in my mind. Patience, strategy, subtlety. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was awakening CHP, for I slipped into the restaurant under a different name, keeping my hood low and my eyes scanning every corner. My pulse raced, not from fear, but anticipation. Tonight, I would see them, the four who had shattered my world without them realizing I was watching. I spotted Elena first, laughing at a joke her brother Tom had made. Careful, Tom, she said softly, elbowing him lightly. You're too easy to trick. I'm not tricked, he said earnestly. I just trust you. I watched her smirk, the same subtle arrogance I remembered. She thought she was untouchable. She didn't notice me sitting 2 tables away. I leaned back and muttered, You're too careless, Elena. Nearby, Sophia whispered into her phone. Yes, it's under control. Everything's exactly as we planned. I frowned, noting every word. She was careless, just like Elena, and that arrogance, that overconfidence would be their undoing. I approached Clara, who was sipping her coffee with Sophia. Clara, I said, voice soft, casual. Mind if I join you? She looked up, startled. Sure. I don't mind. Couldn't help but notice, I said, sliding into the seat. You seem in the know. About Sophia, I mean? Her eyes widened slightly. What do you mean? Come on, I said, lowering my voice. I hear things. Little details. Names, times, choices. You're close to her, right? She hesitated. Well, yes. I mean, we're friends. I smiled faintly. Friends who know things. Things that matter. I just wonder how much loyalty costs these days. Her lips pressed together. I don't relax, I said, leaning back. I'm just curious. Nothing more. But remember small slips, careless words. They tell a lot. She nodded nervously, and I left her with her own anxiety. Every encounter planted seeds, subtle reminders of my presence. They didn't yet know I was watching. Later, I trailed Sophia to a charity event. She smiled at everyone, charmed and flawless. I caught her looking over her shoulder, a flicker of unease, though she quickly masked it. I stepped closer. Enjoying yourself, Sophia? I asked, voice low, but carrying. She turned sharply, eyes wide for the briefest moment. Who are you? Someone who remembers everything, I said calmly. Everything you thought I'd forget? Her mouth opened, then closed. I don't understand. You will, I said, stepping back into the crowd. And when you do, I hope you're ready. I watched her hands tremble slightly as she regained composure. Victory didn't feel sweet, yet it was calculated, measured. It's like watching dominoes tip without touching them. Elena and Tom left the restaurant, and I followed at a discreet distance. Tom's protective words grated my nerves. "Alina, be careful," he said. "I don't trust them." "I can handle myself," she replied lightly, brushing him off. I whispered under my breath, "Too easy. Too predictable." I spent the next few days moving through their routines, always observing, never intervening directly. Maya's schedules, Elena's habits, Sophia's meetings, Lily's appearances, they all left trails. Patterns emerged, small cracks in the facades they'd built. One afternoon, I ran into Tom in the park. He didn't recognize me, of course. "Hey," he said cautiously. "Do I know you?" "Just someone who notices," I replied, smiling faintly. "Alina is lucky to have someone looking out for her." His brow furrowed. "Yeah, I guess. But sometimes luck isn't enough." I nodded, watching him walk away. His naive protection was admirable, but he didn't see the bigger picture. They all thought they were untouchable. Clara reached out again, this time offering gossip without realizing she was feeding me intelligence. "Sophia's worried about something," she said casually. "She's been checking her messages constantly." "Interesting," I murmured. "And you trust her?" "Of course," Clara said. "Why wouldn't I?" I smiled faintly. Trust can be expensive. Remember that. Every step I took, every word I planted, tested them, provoked subtle panic. They hadn't seen me yet, but they felt me in the shadows. By evening, I reflected on my actions. Revenge whispered seductively in my mind. Every careless glance, every misstep, it all begged for retribution. Yet I hesitated. Could I destroy them entirely? Or could I save them from themselves? I muttered to the empty room, pacing. Revenge is tempting. But what good is victory if it leaves me hollow? Maybe there's a way to show them the truth without crushing them entirely. To teach, not destroy. Sophia's face flashed in my mind, panicked and pale for the first time. Elena's smugness cracking ever so slightly. Maya's rigidity faltering in subtle ways. Lily, always the hardest to reach, the most cunning. I clenched my fists. Every move now counts. Every word, every glance, every silent step. They won't see me coming, and that's how I'll learn who they really are on. Maybe, just maybe, who they can become. As I walked into the night, I felt the pulse of control for the first time. They were all moving pieces. I wasn't a pawn anymore. I was the one quietly shifting the board, and the game had just begun. I waited outside the cafe, heart pounding but mind sharp. Alina arrived unaware I had followed her. I stepped into the sunlight, and she froze. "You," she said, voice sharp, masking surprise with irritation. "What are you doing here?" "I could ask you the same," I replied evenly, stepping closer. "But I'm here for one reason." "To talk?" "Talk? About what?" Her smile was tight, brittle. "About you," I said softly. "About your choices. About what you've done and how you've hurt everyone around you." She raised an eyebrow. "I've hurt everyone. That's rich coming from you." "I've learned a lot," I said, my voice calm, measured, "including how self-centered you are. How little you care about consequences, as long as it benefits you." Her eyes flickered, a shadow crossing her usual composure. "Self-centered." You hide behind innocence," I said, leaning slightly closer. "Pretend you're harmless, naive. But every move, every word, every glance, it's calculated. You know exactly what you're doing." Elena's hands trembled just slightly, and I caught it. I didn't think you didn't think," I repeated, voice rising. "You never think about anyone else. You only care about yourself. You think the world bends for you, but it doesn't. And now it's bending back." Her smile faltered. I didn't mean to hurt anyone." "You did," I said, quieter now, letting the weight of my words sink in. "And the truth is, you've enjoyed it. You've enjoyed having control, feeling untouchable, but untouchable doesn't last." Her eyes shimmered, not with tears, but uncertainty. For the first time, her mask slipped. You're not like you were before. You're changed," I offered. "Yes," I've seen through everything. Every lie, every manipulation, and I'm still here. Stronger, smarter, unbroken. And you're cracking. She looked away, fumbling with her coffee cup. I don't know what to say. You don't need to say anything, I said softly. Just think about the way you treat people, about how your actions ripple out. For once, I want you to feel the weight of your own choices. She nodded, silent. I didn't need more. The crack in her composure was enough. Later, I attended a charity gala, where I knew Lily would attempt her little trap. She smiled sweetly at the cameras, weaving whispers, hints, trying to draw attention to me in a way that would embarrass me publicly. Enjoying yourself? I whispered to her as I passed, just loud enough for her to hear. Her smile faltered. I wasn't expecting you, she said, voice tense. Of course not, I said lightly. But you always forget. I notice always every detail, every setup. Her lips pressed together. I could see the panic flash in her eyes before she forced her mask back on. I moved through the room, calm, observing the subtle shifts in their behavior. Sophia glanced at me from across the room, then looked away quickly. Maya's posture stiffened, and Elena's eyes darted nervously. Even Lily, the orchestrator, seemed unsettled. My presence alone had begun to unravel their confidence. I found a quiet corner and muttered to myself, vengeance tastes sweet, but it's not without cost. Am I losing myself in this? Watching them crumble, knowing I orchestrated it even, if subtly. I paused, feeling the guilt press in. I'm not them, I whispered. I won't become what I despise. I'm just showing them. Nothing more, nothing less. Lena approached me again, this time tentative. You didn't have to be so. Direct, she said softly. I had to, I replied. You need to see yourself. Not the mask you show the world, but the truth of your actions. It's the only way you might change, her silence said more than words ever could. I let it hang, watching her internal struggle. As I left the gala, I felt the first real sense of control. Karma was subtle, but it had begun. Each fiancé's confidence faltered, cracks appearing where arrogance had once reigned. Yet even as satisfaction warmed me, a small voice reminded me of restraint. I was not here to destroy, only to reveal. I whispered to the night, they will learn. They will see. And when they do, I'll be ready for whatever comes next. CHP.6, I watched from the shadows as Sophia and Maya met in that upscale cafe. Their voices low but sharp enough to cut glass. I'd been following them for days, noting every glance, every hesitation, every word. Tonight the cracks would widen. You think you're in control, Maya? Sophia's voice was icy, clipped. Don't forget who has the leverage here. Maya's eyes narrowed, lips pressing into a thin line. Leverage. You've grown reckless, Sophia. Your paranoia is showing. Everyone can see it, even me. I'm not paranoid, Sophia shot back. I'm careful. Unlike you, who trusts far too easily. How long before your little plans crumble? I leaned against the wall, unseen, a faint smirk on my lips. They didn't notice me yet. Their arrogance blinded them. Maya leaned forward, her voice low, dangerous. Careful? You're desperate. Admit it? Admit that your carefully constructed empire of lies is cracking. Lies. Sophia's tone hardened. I do what's necessary. Unlike you, who hides behind calculated coldness. You're fragile, Maya. You always have been. Their words were sharp knives, slicing at each other. I felt a thrill, but I reminded myself to stay calm. I didn't need to strike. They were already falling apart on their own. Then, something unexpected happened. Clara stepped out from the shadows of the cafe, approaching cautiously. My heart skipped a beat. She was the ally I hadn't anticipated. Quiet, observant, always lingering, always listening. I have to speak, she said softly, almost nervously. You're right. I've been helping you in my own way. Watching, feeding information, steering Sophia when I could. I wanted to make things right. I studied her, Searching for deception. All along? I asked, voice low. Yes, she said, eyes earnest. I couldn't stop the others completely, but I could help you survive. And now, I need you to know the truth before things get worse. I nodded slowly. Good. I've learned that trust is earned in pieces, not freely given. I'll remember this. But why now? Because their cracks are showing, she said. And soon, it won't be controllable. I couldn't let innocent destruction happen. I let her words sink in. Clara's subtle shift in loyalty gave me an edge I hadn't expected. My plans had a new instrument, a hidden ally. Meanwhile, the argument between Sophia and Maya escalated. You've been undermining me. Sophia spat, slamming her hand on the table. You think you can take everything for yourself? Maya leaned back, laughing softly, though it was bitter. Undermining? I'm just surviving like you. But your ego blinds you. You see threats everywhere except yourself. You're weak. Sophia yelled. Weak and overconfident. You don't even know what's coming. I whispered under my breath, smiling faintly. And neither do you, Sophia. Clara leaned toward me, voice barely audible. Their trust in each other is fragile. They're eating themselves alive. You won't need to intervene, just watch. I nodded. Exactly. Karma isn't mine to force, it's their own doing. They're collapsing without realizing it. Sophia slammed her coffee cup onto the table, spilling it slightly. I trusted you, Maya. I shouldn't have. And I trusted you, Maya replied, voice sharp. Look where it got us. Betrayal, suspicion, fear. You've created this chaos yourself. Tension was thick, electric. I realized then that I didn't need to destroy them. They were dismantling themselves piece by piece. Every misstep, every accusation, every flash of insecurity worked in my favor. Suddenly, a thought struck me. Clara, are you certain you can remain loyal? I can't afford another betrayal. Her gaze met mine, unwavering. I'm certain. I've made my choice. I want to make amends not for you, but for me. For the mistakes I've allowed? I nodded, a small measure of relief warming me. Good. Then we proceed carefully. Patience, observation, timing, everything else falls into place. The argument continued, now louder, more frantic. Sophia's hand shook as she gestured wildly. You don't get it. This isn't just about us. It's about control, power, and you're too weak to handle it. You're wrong, Maya said calmly, voice ice cold. I can handle it. You can't even see your own flaws. That's your weakness. I leaned back, letting them dismantle themselves. Elena's careless maneuvers earlier, Sophia's obsession with control. Maya's arrogance, every flaw was now fully exposed. They were puppets with frayed strings. Unaware that the strings were fraying because of themselves, Clara touched my arm lightly. You don't need to strike yet. Watch. Wait. Let them tear each other down first. I nodded, swallowing the sharp thrill of satisfaction. Yes, but this is intoxicating. To see them falter under the weight of their own schemes. Remember, Clara whispered, there's a fine line. Don't let revenge consume you. You're not them. I closed my eyes briefly, letting her words anchor me. I know, I said softly. I won't become what I despise, but I will ensure they face the consequences of their own arrogance. Sophia slammed her hand down again, glaring at Maya. I'll make sure you regret this. You hear me? Maya smiled faintly, dangerously. We'll see, won't we? I stepped back into the shadows, observing, listening, cataloging. The alliances were collapsing, the arrogance was cracking, and the subtle seeds of panic were taking root. I felt the rush of control, tempered by restraint. Clara whispered one last time, this is just the beginning. The game shifts now, and they won't see you coming. I nodded, feeling the weight of anticipation. Betrayal among betrayers. And in the chaos, I was no longer naive, no longer trusting blindly. I was ready for what came next. I walked into the office that had once felt familiar, now sensing a sharp difference in the air. Everything I touched now pulsed with potential. And I could feel eyes on me, some curious, some anxious. "Welcome back," my assistant said cautiously. "Everyone's waiting for your direction." "Good. Let's make sure they remember why I was in charge before and why I'll remain so." The first meeting began. Numbers, projections, schedules. I navigated through them smoothly, decisively. Allies nodded, impressed. I felt their confidence bolstering mine. But more importantly, I knew who would be shaken. Later, Maya entered my office, posture rigid, eyes calculating. "I see you're back," she said coolly. "Back in charge. Didn't expect you to recover so quickly." "I told you once," I said softly. "I notice everything. I learn everything. I adapt everything." Her eyes narrowed. "And what about me? Should I feel threatened?" "You should feel accountable," I replied, voice calm but sharp. "Your arrogance, your manipulations, they didn't just fail. They exposed you. I'm just pointing it out." She shifted uncomfortably. I misjudged you. But power isn't everything, you know?" "You could falter," I admitted. "But not now. Not while I'm aware. Not while I'm prepared." Her lips pressed together. "You've changed. Didn't I warn you?" I said softly. "Change is inevitable when betrayal fuels determination. And I've learned patience, strategy, and subtlety." She glanced away, a flicker of shame in her eyes. I didn't think you'd come back like this. Didn't think," I repeated. "You underestimated me before. You won't again. And that's the difference." After Maya left, Sophia arrived, her confident stride masking tension. "You think you can just step back in?" she asked, voice measured but brittle. "I know I can," I said, letting the words settle. "Your attempts to manipulate me won't work. I've already anticipated them." She frowned. "Anticipated? You're always one step ahead." "Always," I replied. "And I hope you understand what that means. Every misstep, every lie, every scheme you've constructed, it's now visible. And you can't hide from it." Her shoulders slumped slightly. I never realized how much I underestimated you. I feel foolish." "You should," I said softly. "Not for what you did alone, but for how blind you were to your own arrogance. You're watching your empire crumble. And you caused it yourself." Her eyes filled briefly with regret. "It's bitter," she whispered. Seeing the consequences, knowing I brought this on myself, I nodded. "Karma isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it's quiet, but unstoppable. You'll feel it fully soon enough." Even in these confrontations, I felt the pull of restraint. Revenge tempted me, but I reminded myself I was not here to destroy for pleasure. I was here to restore balance, to show them the consequences of choices made in selfishness. Alina approached me next, cautious, tentative. I hear you're handling things." "Well," she said softly, and I want to say I'm sorry. For everything, apologies matter," I said carefully. "But action matters more. Do you understand the weight of your own choices now?" She nodded, eyes downcast. "Yes, I do. And I see now how much I relied on arrogance and manipulation. I misjudged everything." "Good," I said. "Learn from it. Change is possible, but only if you accept responsibility. Otherwise, patterns repeat." Even Lily didn't approach directly. But I knew her attempts to manipulate through public appearances and whispers had begun failing. The whispers of scandal she tried to spread now fizzled, her power waning. Karma, subtle and precise, was working in ways I hadn't even needed to touch. Alone in my office later, I reflected on the day. "They're all cracking," I muttered. "Maya, Sophia, Alina, even Lily's influence is faltering. And it's not me who's crushing them, it's their own choices. Their arrogance, their lies, their betrayals. They're their own undoing." Clara appeared quietly, smiling faintly. "You've gained their respect and fear without raising a hand." That's mastery. I've learned, I said. That power isn't just about control, it's about awareness. Strategy, patience, timing, and understanding who to trust, who to watch, who to let falter. Her gaze was steady. And what about your humanity? Are you still holding on to that? I paused, letting her words sink in. I have to, I said finally, because losing it would make me no better than them. I want them to see the consequences of their actions. Not for pleasure, but for truth. I want justice, not revenge. Clara nodded. Then you're ready. The power shift isn't just external. It's inside you now. I leaned back in my chair, eyes on the city lights outside the window. For the first time in months, I felt untouchable, not because I was invincible, but because I had learned, observed, and adapted. The Fiancées' world was cracking, and I held the calm in the storm. They underestimated me, I whispered to myself. And now they're seeing the difference between a man who trusted blindly and one who controls everything. I knew this was only the beginning. The power shift had started, and the consequences would ripple further than anyone expected. I found her in the penthouse, the city lights casting shadows across her face. Lily sat in the armchair I once bought for her, smug and serene, or at least she thought she was. So, I said softly, closing the door behind me, we meet at last. Alone. She looked up, smile sharp, practiced. I was wondering when you'd find me. You've been busy, haven't you? Observing, I said, stepping closer. Learning, adapting, surviving. Her eyes narrowed. I always knew you were naive, but I didn't expect you to return. Like this? Like this? I repeated, letting the words linger. Do you mean stronger, sharper, unbroken? She laughed softly, a bitter sound. Yes, unbroken, but also changed. You think that's all because of me? You think I caused this? It was your own arrogance that blinded you. And my envy, my pride. Yes, I admit it. I wanted everything to be mine. I studied her carefully. Pride, envy, fear, your motivations. Admit them all, Lily, but understand they're too late. Too late for control, too late for manipulation. She leaned forward, eyes glinting. Control? You think you've taken control? You've survived, yes, but I still have power. I can ruin you. I can. You can. I interrupted, calm but icy. You could have, yes, but I anticipated every move, every trap, every whisper. You were always predictable, even when you thought you were clever. Her smile faltered imperceptibly at first. I didn't realize. You were observing? Every step, I said softly. Every glance, every word, every lie. And now you're exposed. And I forgive you. She blinked, stunned. Forgive? After everything? I nodded slowly. I forgive, not because you deserve it, but because holding on to anger would only weaken me. I don't need revenge to feel victorious. I've grown beyond that. Beyond you. Her hands trembled ever so slightly, and I noticed the subtle twitch of panic behind her composed mask. I never thought you never thought about me, I said. You thought about pride, envy, fear, what you could gain. You forgot about loyalty, trust, morality. And now, you face consequences not because I strike, but because your actions have left you standing alone. She rose slowly, trying to regain composure. And yet, you still speak gently, you. You're not the same man I knew. No, I said, I'm not. I've learned patience, strategy, subtlety. I've learned to watch, to wait, to act only when necessary. You've taught me far more than you realize, Lily. About betrayal, about resilience, about moral restraint. Out. She looked away, voice softening. And you're leaving me? Like this? I took a deep breath. Yes, you will face your own reckoning. I won't interfere, not because I lack power, but because I understand limits. I will survive and thrive. And you. must face the outcomes of your choices. Alone. Her lips pressed together, shame and fear flickering briefly. I never imagined it would come to this. I thought I could bend everything to my will. And you almost did, I said, letting a faint smile touch my lips. But I didn't just survive. I adapted. I transformed. And now I am untouchable. Not because of arrogance, but because of awareness, discipline, and moral clarity. She sank back into the armchair, silent. The facade had cracked, finally revealing the fragile human beneath her schemes. I stepped closer, voice quieter, more reflective. Growth isn't measured by vengeance. It's measured by understanding, by restraint, by knowing when to acand, when to forgive. And I forgive you. But that forgiveness doesn't restore trust, nor does it erase what you've done. It simply frees me from becoming like you. Lily swallowed, words failing her. She knew deep down that she had lost not to me, but to her own flaws. I turned toward the window, letting the city lights wash over me, breathing in the silence that followed. The confrontation had ended, and yet my life had begun anew. I had faced the ultimate betrayal, emerged unbroken, and maintained my integrity. A sense of calm washed over me. I whispered to the night, I am stronger, wiser, untouchable. And for the first time, I feel the balance of justice without losing myself. Lily remained seated, powerless yet alive, a reminder of what I had endured and what I had overcome. I closed the door behind me, stepping into the world I had reclaimed. My path forward was mine alone. I would never allow anyone to dictate my life again. The ultimate confrontation had ended. The journey of growth, strategy, and moral resilience was only beginning. I stood at the edge of the park, the sun low, painting everything gold. Clara approached cautiously, hands folded, eyes tentative. You wanted to meet? She asked softly. Yes, I said, voice calm. I wanted to see you alone, away from the chaos. She nodded, stepping closer. I don't know if I deserve this. Deserve what? I asked, tilting my head. Forgiveness? Guidance? You've already taken the first step, choosing to help instead of betray. That counts more than you realize. Her lips pressed together. I never imagined I could make amends after everything. I thought it was too late. It's never too late if you're willing, I said. The others. I let my gaze drift toward the distant skyline. They'll face their own consequences. But you have a choice. A chance to rebuild. To do better. She looked down, voice barely audible. I want to. I don't know how to start. Wait. Start small, I suggested. Every decision counts. Honesty, patience, integrity. The mistakes of the past don't vanish, but you can shape the future. Clara nodded slowly, a flicker of hope in her eyes. I'll try. I want to try. That's all I ask, I said, a soft smile touching my lips. You've already survived your own missteps. Now, you can thrive without them controlling you. She hesitated, then asked, and you? After everything, can you truly move on? I exhaled, letting the tension leave my body. I've already begun. Betrayal taught me resilience. Pain taught me awareness. Revenge taught me strategy, but most importantly, it taught me restraint. I'm no longer defined by what others did to me, only by how I respond. Her eyes widened slightly. You're stronger than I imagined. I am, I said quietly. And that strength isn't just in surviving. It's in choosing morality when I could have chosen vengeance without mercy. It's in protecting myself without losing who I am. Clara smiled faintly. I hope I can learn that too. You will, I assured her. Step by step. One honest action at a time. And when you falter, remember, it's not failure if you rise again. We walked in silence for a moment, letting the soft evening air settle around us. I thought of the other fiancées, Maya, Sophia, and Lily, left to face their own karma. No interventions, no hand-holding. Each would feel the consequences of their choices in their own way. I paused, looking at Clara. You've made a conscious choice to change. That's rare. That's valuable. That's enough to matter in the long run. Her voice trembled slightly. Thank you. Truly. I don't know how to repay you. You don't need to, I said softly. Live well. Live honestly. That will be enough. We stood together, quiet, watching the sun sink lower. I realized then that the weight of betrayal no longer anchored me. It had forged me, shaped me, and left me stronger than before. Clara stepped back, a gentle nod. I'll do my best. You will, I said. And I'll watch from a distance, not as a master, but as someone who believes in the possibility of redemption. As she walked away, I felt the world shift around men, not with chaos, not with manipulation, but with clarity. My heart was steadier, my mind sharper, my soul lighter. I whispered to the evening, almost to myself, I am no longer defined by betrayal, but by resilience, wisdom, and the strength to stand alone when needed. The past shaped me, but it does not control me. The future is mine. The park was quiet. The sun dipped below the horizon, leaving a soft glow on everything. And for the first time in months, I felt truly free.